In this tutorial we're going to be beginning the research and development for our vehicle model. So there are three ways we can approach this project. One way is to develop our own, completely own kind of concept, not based on an existing car at all. One way is to use an existing concept produced by another artist. And the final way is to use an existing vehicle and then convert that to suit the brief. So all ways kind of have their advantages. Obviously if you produce your own concept you can use that on your portfolio and show the kind of complete process as an artist. Producing a realistic car and then converting that to suit the brief is really useful because you can demonstrate that you can model kind of any vehicle and also demonstrate creativity. And obviously the third way, using a pre-existing concept, is the fastest way, so there's that way too. But what we're going to do today is look at downloading blueprints and setting them up and getting a good reference library for if we were going to use an existing car. So there's quite a lot of blueprint websites that are out there. So there's kind of three different things I do in order to get blueprints. The first one is to go to two different websites. First of all, the blueprints.com. If you register an account here and go to the blueprint database, you can find tons of different kind of vehicle schematics. Some of them you do need to register to download them, and some of them you're supposed to pay, but you can find a lot. Most of them are free, so you can find quite a lot of good stuff on here. So another good website is Car Blueprints. So there's plenty of good ones in here specifically for cars, obviously, and yeah, this one's quite good too. And there's also SM Cars. So this has some good stuff on it too. And if I go to blueprints here, this is where you can find the different blueprints in your archive. So it's a little bit harder to browse through this one, but it still has some good stuff. And the last way, of course, is just to put in the car you want and check Google Images, and you'll find quite a lot of blueprints on here. You can see their forums, pelicanparts.com, so obviously that's a different website to the one we mentioned before. So yeah, you can find blueprints in that way as well. Now the important thing when you're collecting blueprints is to make sure you're getting the exact car that you want. So whatever car it is you're after, if I'm just putting in Porsche 911 blueprints, I'm not picking a specific model and I'm not picking a specific year. So you want to make sure that your blueprints are accurate and that you're picking the right car. So what we're going to look at today then is a 2006 Audi A3, and we're making sure it's the 3-door version as well. So I kind of know exactly what I'm looking for here. 2006 Audi A3, and it's the 3-door hatchback version. So once I've done that, there's a couple of other important things that we're going to need to get. One thing we're going to need to do is edit these blueprints, and the next thing we're going to need to do is go on something like Auto Trader and put in the exact kind of car model that we're looking for. So we can see here we've got Audi A3 2006 hatchback version, and it is diesel, but that doesn't really matter. So if we compare this to our blueprints and just check to see how kind of accurate these blueprints kind of really are. So if we look at the vehicle kind of side on, like we're looking for elements like, look at this headlight here. So this is slightly turned, this picture, so we're only looking at the shape Look at the back headlight, the way it comes down across here. And yeah, we can see the back headlight does that. Little indicator light, it's even got that placed in the right place. See, we've got a little rear spoiler at the top here, and that's on our template as well. Okay, so you can check things like the wings and stuff like that as well. So just see how accurate this is. So if you're happy with the blueprints, then come onto AutoTrader, search for your car, and the best thing to do really is just to pick one that has a lot of reference images. So this one isn't too bad. You can see we've got nice isometric view, side view, front view, rear view there. I mean, we might be able to do better though, so it's definitely worth just going through this and just finding a car you're happy with. I tend to avoid the black ones because you can't quite make out the form as well as you can on some of the others. And obviously just make sure that it still fits in with all the criteria. Like I have obviously set the criteria up here, so I've got the make, the model, the age of the car, the number of doors, and so on. Obviously you can use more than one set of reference here. So you can see here already this is a special edition, so I'm not sure what the real difference is on this one. But it's worth checking, you know, if you're going to use this one, make sure you find out what the differences a special edition actually make. So I will try and just use one set of reference, so one vehicle to base my model from, but I'll probably download a couple of these. So this is a good one. We can see we're getting a lot of the detail off this one. So I'll save a couple of these out into a nice kind of reference library. Okay, so once you have all those, the next thing to do is to tweak your blueprints in. So with the blueprints loaded off, what we'll want to do is, first of all, I always like to invert the plans. I find it easier to work like this. So what we'll need to do is split these off into kind of two like this. So what I might do is use Control and R to draw the rulers, and then just drag a ruler out like that, and maybe one like that as well. Because what we want to do is make these plans as even as possible. So you can see now when I crop here, it's going to crop the same on this side. You can also, if we zoom right in on this, and also you can see here, see the way it's set to index. That means because it's a GIF image, we'll set this to RGB as well to give us a bit more control over this. And then if we try using something like brightness contrast, Other things you can do as well, if we just select black on this, you can paint out some of the details that you don't need. Obviously it's quite useful having the seats in at some point though, for when you're modelling the interior, but initially you might want to take those off for when you're modelling the chassis, and then later on you can just reopen the plans and resave them out with the interior in place. So yeah, you just want to make it kind of as clear as possible for you to use. Okay, so once we're kind of ready to use this, I'm going to maybe add one more ruler in down here for this top view. So I'm just making sure that this here lines up with this here, so there's a very similar kind of gap between them. Okay, so we'll select our side view, do Control C to copy, Control N for new, and Control V to paste. Select our front view, do the same, Control C to copy, Control N, Control V. Back view. I may just raise this ruler up slightly for this one. Silly thing is snapping, so we'll just turn off the snap. And what you can do here, which is quite useful, hang on, just turn snap back on again so that snap to there, is paste this straight into this layer here, and there you go, you see the way that's sitting on it perfectly. Then we can just save them out like that. Okay, so we'll select our top layer, Control C, Control N, Control V. And we'll just crop off that little bit that we moved there. Okay, there we go, so we've got front and back, top and side. So we'll save this out. Source images folder. We'll add a new folder in here and call this plans. We'll save these out as probably just a JPEG for now. We'll call this side. Call this one front. And turn on the back layer and call this one back. And we'll save this one out as top, making sure of course that they are both facing the same way. Although to be fair, we could flip that anyway in Maya. Okay, so then in Maya, what we want to do is set up our planes. So this is where our kind of next stage comes in. We've got two choices here. We could just make the plans and then set them up to fit the size of the car, and I think we'll do it like that. So we'll go to our top view and check our image size. We can see it's 879 by 355. So we'll set it to that. So 879 355. Now obviously we want to be making this kind of car to scale. Now at the moment, if we check our grid options, we can see we've got a grid line every 1 unit, and if we go to preferences, go to settings, we'll see we're set to centimetres here. So when we check our polyplane, that's 879 centimetres by 355, so 8.79 metres by 355 in length. So what we'll want to do, shortly is find the actual dimensions of the A3 and then fit our plans around that. So scale them to fit that size. But we'll do that in a bit. I think first of all we're going to actually get the plans set up. So we'll assign a new material to this, just a standard Lambert. We call this top plan and assign our texture into there. Oh, looks like I saved them out in the wrong way. Better. So I'll just check I've definitely got the right resolution on that. 879 by 355. So what you can do is just open your UV editor, select the face and do unitize. There we go, we can see our plan is now kind of nicely displayed. Okay, so we'll make another plane. Again reduce the sides down and check our side view, and that should be, right, so it's 879 by 351. So 879 by 351, and obviously we need to rotate that 90 degrees. Again, assign another new material to this one, and this time add our side view to that, and again just unitize our face. So I'll probably pull this one down to that one. No, let's just leave it for now and we'll do that once we've got our other views in. So add another plane in and just follow the same steps as before. So image size 402 by 351. Assign new material, Lambert. And what we want to do is quickly check that it's definitely the right, sorry, the width is actually this way, so let's just check that. And yeah, we can see that's correct, so let's just check this. So yeah, width, so that's definitely right. So we'll clone that and rename this material front plan, and on this one assign new material, a Lambert, and call this one back plan. So, and on this one we'll obviously put our back material, our back texture. And this one here, I didn't name this one, so I'm just going to do that. Side plan like that. Okay, so we're just about ready with our plans now. There's a couple of other little things to do. So in order to, first of all, if I add a box into this scene, so if we're modelling from this, we want to be able to come around here and this stuff not get in the way. So if you just select all 4 plans, hold shift, right click, and just do toggle back face culling. You can see that now when we're under the car, the top view is not getting in the way. When we're on this side, the side view isn't getting in the way. Now what I tend to do here is put my front view at the back and my back view at the front. And this one here, we'll need to flip the normals on that one, so that now I can see my front view and model in front of it, and on my back view I can see my back view and model with that. And often as well I'll push these just out a bit as well, and maybe lower that one a bit too. Okay, so our plans are looking pretty good now. The next thing we want to do is just check the actual scale of the car. So to do that, what I normally do is you can find the actual length, width and height of the car just by browsing around, and you can find this kind of stuff. And just a bit of googling later, and you can see I've found this 2006 Audi A3 tech spec sheet, which gives me the wheelbase, overall length, overall width and the height of the car in millimetre. And just all I browsed was Audi A3 2006 dimensions, and this is one of the first things that came up. So this is a kind of common thing that you can do. So we can see our height is 142.3 centimetres. So if we just add a new box into our scene, go to the settings of this here, so we want 142.3 in the height of this box. So I'm not going to scale that actually, I'm just going to use. So that's the overall height of our car. So we'll just get this lined up. And then if we go to our outliner and select all our plans and use Ctrl-G to group these together, and we can scale these down until this kind of matches the highest point of the car. Now bear in mind that some of these specifications can be referring to the vehicle before it has its wheels on and things like that. But I'm pretty sure because this has ground clearance as well, that'll be referring to it with its standard wheels on. Okay, so as long as we've lined it up to this box here, that should mean that it's pretty accurate. But let's add another box in, and on this box we'll select the length 428.6. We'll put that dimension in there, and we can use this to check that, and you can see, look, that's pretty much spot on from the furthest point to the furthest point. That's basically exactly right. So we know that that measurement did include the wheelbase as well. Okay, so there we go, we're basically completely ready to start modelling now. You will notice that I'm using the front view as the side view here. If you're not happy with it being like that, you can just select the whole group and just rotate this 90 degrees. It's kind of up to you how you would rather work. Okay, so I'm going to save this out. File, save scene as, and might as well just call this 1. Okay, so we've got a group up here. We could select all of these 4, go to rename, and call this plans. So you can see now we've got plans 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a group here, and call this, say, plans group. And if you really want to be kind of precise about this, if we add a new layer in with these objects selected, call this plans, and then obviously you have your different options here. So I can set this to R, and you can see I can't select this now. So it makes it nice and easy. Then if we add another new layer, this is where we can do all our modelling. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do then is actually start modelling the chassis.